Okay, hello. Okay, let me adjust for a second. I'm trying to film this by myself. It's kind of hard. So I'm just hoping that it is in focus and you can hear me over my dog who won't stop barking. Okay, so as promised, I am making a video going in depth about my battle with depression recently. About, let's see, 6 months ago, maybe, give or take, I was diagnosed with severe depression, anxiety, and OCD. And some PTSD too. So what I wanted to do was really give people hope out of my story. I know when I was going through this really dark season in life, I didn't see any light. I didn't see any hope for the future. I really felt hopeless. And that's a big sign of depression. I didn't believe people when they would say, believe me, trust me, you're gonna get through this. I would look at them and just be like, there's no way. I mean, you don't know what I'm going through, you know? But there were people who did. This is a real thing that a lot of people struggle with. And that's what I didn't realize, is that this is a sickness. Just like people get the flu, or just like people get sick, I mean, people get depressed. They get depression. So I felt completely alone, and I know that it's really hard while you're in it to see a positive outcome, and so that's why I am recording my story. This will probably be several videos, just because I know it can get really long, and I know nobody really wants to sit there for an hour watching me talk about depressing stuff. I mean, however, when I was in this season of depression, I would do that. I would search for videos, and honestly, guys, there is nothing out there positive. I mean, one or two, give or take, but like, everything was so scary. And so I just want to put a disclaimer. I am not a doctor. I do not have all the answers. I am simply just sharing my situation, what I experienced, and what I overcame, and how I overcame it. It doesn't mean that what worked for me will work for you. It doesn't mean that you need to take the steps that I took. I mean, this is just kind of a guideline. If you're feeling this way, just get some kind of help. That's really what this is, just to show you that there is help out there. There is a way to heal, but you have to be willing to accept it, which can be really hard in this season. So I will start probably this video and just tell you a little bit about how it came up, how it began, my symptoms, who helped me, and then we'll get into other stuff in different videos, probably more in depth of depression, medication, and OCD. So I'm just gonna begin. So about a year ago, I started feeling really tired all the time. Really kind of just weird, like you just felt different, like there was something wrong and you just couldn't pinpoint it. I ended up getting blood work and I was low on vitamin D, so I took my vitamin D, went about life, everything kind of still seemed blah. But I was trucking along, you know, I have a great life. I've got everything I could ever imagine. I've got my wonderful children, I've got an amazing husband, you know, I stay home with the kids, you know, we don't have financial struggles, we don't have all those things that you would think, you know, that would cause the depression. So I didn't think anything about depression. You know, I was very busy. I was helping in my church a lot. I was doing kids ministry. I was helping with the worship music for kids ministry. I was doing pastoral care. And then on top of that, I decided that I was gonna go get a job. And this job was great. It was really perfect for me. It was just bad timing. I felt like God really opened the door for me to get this job, and I really felt like I was there for the time that I needed to be there. It was really hard because my daughter was in my class, and it just wasn't fair to her. She couldn't understand like mom and teacher, and it just made things a little bit more stressful. So I had a lot of stress going on in my life, and one day I was at church and I just had a panic attack out of nowhere. I thought I was having a heart attack. I didn't know it was panic. I really felt like I was going to pass out, and I got really scared, and I thought that there was something wrong with me. I thought the worst. I thought I have cancer. I've got to have like something wrong. So I did a lot of blood work, x-rays. I went to the emergency room several times because after that panic attack came on high anxiety all the time. I was so afraid of it happening again. I was just so anxious all the time, and it just became really hard to just live my everyday life. Shortly after all this started happening, somebody who works in the same kind of field as my husband, I really don't want to give away his career. A lot of you may know it, but somebody passed away doing what he does. It was really scary. I think that at that time, I was just so far into my depression but didn't know what it was, that this just kind of hit me harder and made it even worse. A lot of fear started to set in. And what got me to this place where I was just kind of stuck was that I have OCD, and a lot of it is within my thought process. So I have a lot of circular thinking. So when the panic attack happened, I was thinking about that nonstop, literally obsessed with it. A lot of things from my childhood throughout life would pop up into my head. I have a lot of intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are really horrible, and it's something that a lot of people with OCD suffer with, and it's really awful. So I would have a lot of these intrusive thoughts, and then I just obsess about it for a long time, and to relieve that, and it gives you anxiety when you obsess this much. I mean, you can use the word obsessed and you don't know obsessed unless you really struggle with OCD. I become so obsessed with something, for instance, the panic attack, the anxiety, so obsessed with my health because I thought something was wrong that it literally put me into a depression. So from that, I just couldn't snap out of it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I just had such a hard time relaxing. I couldn't do anything. So I went to my general practitioner, and he prescribed me Prozac right off the bat. He said, you're depressed. We've done blood work. There's nothing wrong with you. You are so healthy. You're depressed. And I was like, there's no way I'm depressed, and I just don't get it. And I would cry, and I was like, I've got a great life. And it's like, yeah, but I mean, it doesn't matter. You can have the greatest life, all the money in the world, or you could have just anything that your little heart desires, and you can still get depressed. It happens. And so when I was diagnosed with depression, and he gave me the Prozac wasn't a good fit for me. I just got worse. My OCD was horrible, and it set in to fear. So with the fear, I associated depression with suicide. And I started thinking, well, if I'm depressed, what if I commit suicide? This is hard to talk about, sorry. And if you're going through this and this is too hard, I'm not going to talk about it long. this is something that was a huge fear of mine that I started now obsessing over. So I was obsessed with that thought, and I would think about it over and over and over and over, and it would literally drive me crazy. I was afraid to be around knives. I was afraid to be around ropes, belts, anything that you could associate that with. I was terrified. I was terrified to be alone with my children. I was terrified to be alone, period. So I constantly had to have someone with me. I began to be afraid of driving. So someone had to drive us everywhere. And it just started getting worse and worse and worse, and the Prozac was not helping. So one night I was staying with my mom, and I couldn't stop thinking about what if I hurt myself. So I got up out of bed and I couldn't go to sleep because I just had really bad insomnia. And I don't know if it was the medication or the anxiety. I mean, a mixture of both, because I had insomnia for a while before leading up to this. So it was really hard for me to fall asleep, and if I did fall asleep, I'd wake up in a panic. And so I remember going to the kitchen, and this was like a turning point. I thought, I saw the knives and I freaked out. And I really literally thought that this was it. This is the night I'm gonna hurt myself. So I freaked out and I ran to my mom's room and I just started bawling, and I woke her up. And I said, I need help. I need help. And at that point, I wanted them to lock me up. I wanted them to take me to an institution where they could keep me, and I would never hurt anyone, and I would not hurt myself. And I really didn't want to come out. I wanted them to take me to wherever they would keep me forever. I mean, I didn't want anyone near me because I was afraid. So this doctor decided to take me off the Prozac and give me a different medication, because at this point I had lost over 22 pounds. I looked terrible. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I mean, I was just a mess. So he put me on something else, and it started to help a lot, but I was eating so much. I was gaining weight back like really fast, and it was scary for me. So it still wasn't relieving a lot of my anxiety either. I started seeing a faith-based counselor, and I started seeing, she referred me to a psychiatrist. They're faith-based as well. And I couldn't be more grateful. I feel like God really orchestrated it perfectly. They put me on something else, and I am currently taking it. I'm on Zoloft, a really low dose, and it has helped tremendously. I am able to just live my normal life again. I do struggle. I mean, there are days that are harder than others. It's a constant battle. But there's hope. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. If you're feeling these feelings, you're not alone. If you don't know what's wrong with you, you think you're sick, you think that the worst, and you think that you have cancer, or you're really ill, go to the doctor, get checked. If everything comes back fine, and you're starting to still feel hopeless, and you're starting to still feel like there's something wrong, and you're starting to lose interest in things that you once loved, go see a therapist. Seek help before it gets really bad. For me, because of the OCD thought process, it was really hard for me to snap out of anything. So I was really stuck in my circular thinking. And so the medication was really my only option to kind of get out of that thought process. And it's great, and I don't think it's bad to be on medication. Now, you may not need it. There's some people who don't need the medication. I did. And it's okay if you do need it, and if you're afraid to take it. There are going to be some side effects, and just know that, like with me, I stayed on the Prozac for a couple weeks and suffered a lot. If you're suffering so much on your medication, it's probably not the one. There's many options out there, so that's not the only option for you. But there's a lot of things in therapy, and with me, my faith and my support system was incredible to my journey and my outcome. And I feel like I just can't thank God enough for getting me through, but also allowing me to go through this, because before I really didn't have any kind of sympathy for mental illness. I didn't believe in it. I just thought it was so silly that somebody could get depressed. I mean, unless they had a really terrible life, you know. I just really was like, how would you be depressed? Why would you be depressed? I mean, get over it, snap out of it. You know, I was that person, and I'm glad that I was brought through it. I am, because if I can help one person through my story, then it makes it all worth it. But anyway, I promised I wouldn't make it a long video. So that's where I'm currently at. My next video, I do want to go a little bit more in depth with my medications and the OCD and just what I've been dealing with on a day-to-day, where I'm at now. I can go back and explain a little bit more of the process and symptoms and side effects and whatever. If you want to hear something specific, just leave me a comment and I'll try to answer that for you, either in the comments or in the next video. And like I said, just seek help if you're feeling down. If you're feeling like this is something that you can relate to and you haven't talked to anybody about it, there's people out there. You're loved, you're valued, and you deserve the help, and you deserve to get better. Nobody needs to live like this. It's a horrible disease. And just like anybody that has any kind of illness, diabetes, the flu, we take medicine to heal those things. It's okay if you have to get on medication. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be ashamed. I was so ashamed, like, wow, I'm that weak, I had to go and get on medication. No, it's not. It's, if you broke your leg, would you take medication? Yes, you would, because it hurts. Depression hurts, and there is a medication out there, and I truly believe that God placed physicians on this earth and gifted people with the ability to talk us through these things and to prescribe this medication for us to get us through, because this is a real illness. Anyway, I'll see you in my next video, and hopefully it'll be a little bit less depressing. Bye.